Hey, what's up friends? Baldwin here. Welcome back to the Speaker Lab Speech Breakdowns, where today we're going to be taking a talk from Amy Landino, where she's going to be talking about the power of the virtual handshake. We're going to talk about the importance of the environment and how a room is set up. We're going to talk about how slides can be effective or ineffective. What do you do when technology doesn't cooperate, when things go wrong? Lots to get into, lots to break down. Let's get right into it with Amy Landino. All right, so it looks like what she's doing here is her intro is a video rather than someone just reading an introduction. So it looks like this gal over here may have been maybe the MC or the person that would have been perhaps introducing her, and they're using a video to introduce her. So there's a lot of speakers that actually do this, so you can actually have someone just read your introduction. If you're going to do that, what you want to do is not just leave it up to them to, hey, come up with some nice things to say about me. You really want to control that, and so you want to have a script that you give them and tell them, hey, this is not bullet points for you to just kind of riff on. Read it as it's written. Make it really, really simple for them. One of the things I personally like to do is the last line that they read before they, please welcome to the stage, Grant Baldwin, is I like to have some type of joke there, a joke that I know that works, that I know regardless of who's reading it, as long as they read it the way it's written, it's going to get a laugh. And so that way I'm kind of coming up on stage to some type of laughter there, or the crowd or the audience has at least been loosened up a little bit there. So that's one way to approach it. And so what Amy's doing here is it looks like she's probably showing some type of pre-made introduction video. So it's usually going to be anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds, maybe some highlights of their work, as an author, as a speaker, as an entrepreneur, as a online influencer, whatever it may be, and that kind of it certainly has more power than what just reading a written script would do. So that can be very effective if that's something that you want to pursue. So it looks like that's what she's doing here.
I was last in a very long line of bridesmaids. Not only was I last.
Okay, let's talk about the room setup for a second here. Now, this is what clearly looks like a very big room. What you want, as much as possible, you want a room that's as small as possible for the audience. You want the audience as close to each other and as close to you as possible. So there's a couple things here that are not ideal. It looks like a kind of a cool, maybe industrial type of venue, which looks cool, but from a speaking standpoint, it's not ideal. Now, for someone like Amy or whoever the speaker may be, you typically don't have a lot of control of what the room setup is going to be or what the venue is going to be. So in this type of situation, ideally what would be good is this room has really high ceilings, you can tell, right? Which the bigger the ceilings, the bigger the room, the more empty it starts to feel. And so you want a room that whenever I walk into a room and like it's low ceilings and it's tight and chairs are packed in there, that's a really, really, really good place to be, okay? You don't want it too spread out. The other thing too is you want everyone as close together as possible. So if you look here, you have all these tables here that creates a lot of dead space. Now it starts to fill up the room, and so it looks bigger than it actually is. But if you took all of those people and you put them in rows, all of a sudden it would fill up a small little section up front here. And so that's actually ideal. You want the room as small as possible and everyone as close to each other as possible. So just know that if you're going into a type of setup where it's like this, that this is good for people to take notes and for people to have their laptop out. But you start to lose some of the energy, you lose some of the momentum because the room is so big and the room is so spread out. So again, you typically as a speaker don't have a lot of vote in what the venue is that they're going to select for the event to be at, but just be aware when you walk into it that those are some things that you're going to be up against as a speaker.
I was asked last. My girlfriend, we're very good friends in high school, I thought. She called me and she said, Amy, I'm getting married and I want you to be a part of my big day. This other girl, she got pregnant. She's not going to fit into the dress in time. So we're really hoping you could step in. Okay, cool. You don't say no to a bride, it's just not right.
Okay, let's talk real quick about demo video. Okay, so if you're going to be at an event and you're going to be filming it for demo video footage, I want to go back and show you two different angles here. Okay, let's look at the first angle that she had, which looks cool, right? But it also looks somewhat empty, right? Again, you have a lot of empty space there. It's a big room. It's not like you want, when you're showing a demo video, you want a room that's packed in there, okay? So now we fast forward here just a couple of seconds. And the other clip, or the angle that then it cuts to is a different angle, a different shot, but it makes the room look more full. Right here. So now it's the exact same room, exact same setup, but it looks slightly bigger. It looks slightly fuller in terms of the audience there. So just consider whenever you're putting together demo video footage that the angle can make a really big difference in terms of how the room looks. So something to be aware of.
Part of their big day. And so I thought I could be the last bridesmaid, but I kind of want to be the favorite. Like, I want to beat out all of these ladies to be the favorite bridesmaid. How do I do that? How do you make someone feel even more special on the most special day of their life? And I came up with the idea for a video. I'm not really sure how I came up with this idea. I'd never...
Okay, so two things here. First of all, she's starting off with a story, which is always a great way to start a talk because stories draw people in. They connect with human beings. People love stories. And so she starts telling the story about being a bridesmaid and we're immediately drawn into it. We have no idea where this is going to go. Is this going to be happy or sad or funny? We have no idea, but we love stories. So we're immediately drawn into a story. Now, one thing that she could do there as she's leading to the story and she's kind of getting to this climax of, she has this kind of punchline that she is the last selected bridesmaid and is almost kind of an alternate because someone else couldn't fit into the bridesmaid dress. Very good line there. But what she does here, let's go back just a couple of seconds if I can.
And I came up with the idea for a video. I'm not really...
Okay, so she says, how do I make someone's day even more special? So I came up with an idea. And that's a good opportunity there to just pause. And there's a lot of things that you can do there because you're coming up with an idea and the audience immediately wants to know, what's the idea, right? And so by pausing there and letting that pause, and it's also an opportunity to create some humor depending on what happens next in the story. So if she said, if the way she said it was, so I came up with an idea. And so that feels a bit more serious, like, okay, this could be a cool little moment. Or if she said it like, so I came up with an idea. And her facial expressions, the way she says it, all of a sudden like, oh, this is gonna be good. She probably did, maybe she did something because she's mad or bitter about being last selected or whatever it may be. So how you tell the story and how you pause there can also build some anticipation for what comes next in the story.
I'm not really sure how I came up with this idea. I'd never made a video before, but sure, why not? I looked over at my digital camera, this little Canon. We used to have to take these on vacation. I'm aging myself now. You used to have to take digital cameras on vacation to document your journey. Now we have smartphones, which is lovely. But this camera had a video option on it. I thought, that's super useful. So I took that device and I went back to our hometown and I just started filming people that we went to school with, teachers, parents, just anyone who knew Stephanie, anyone who could wish her well. And I took all these...
Now, one thing that she could do here is as she's talking about this, it looks like she's going to use slides. She's got the screen behind her there. And we've talked before about the pros and cons of slides. I typically, personally, don't use slides. They can be extremely effective. They can be extremely powerful. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with them. And so if you're going to use slides, you want to make sure that you use them as an enhancement, not a replacement for your talk. Now, in this situation, she's telling a story about this friend, Stephanie, and I think she does show a picture here in a few minutes of the wedding party that she's in. But this could be an opportunity for her to show a picture of just her and Stephanie together, just, you know, their arms around each other or that type of thing. So people get a sense of, as she's telling the story, who is this person that she's talking about, right? So we have no idea anything about Stephanie, but this is a chance that if you put a picture of her and Stephanie up on the screen, that we have a better sense of who this person is, and it helps us to connect with the story a little bit better.
Compiled all these clips. I took it home to my desktop computer, which took up my entire kitchen at the time. And I imported all that footage and I created a video for Stephanie, something to let her know that people were thinking of her at this very important moment in her life. With, of course, the ever emotional backing track, Good Riddance, Time of Your Life by Green Day. And then I exported that video onto...
Okay, did you notice this? That she said with the ever emotional track, Good Riddance, something something by Green Day. It didn't get a reaction until she said Green Day. And so what she may consider doing there is to start with saying Green Day with the ever emotional track by the calming, soothing band known as Green Day, and something like that might get a better reaction there.
To a DVD. Do you guys remember what a DVD is? DVD burning. This was 2007. I didn't even know that online video sharing was a thing at the time, and certainly didn't know that YouTube existed. And, oh, that's fun. Here we go. Look, Last Bridesmaid. Come on, girl.
Now, I wonder if the slides weren't working there or something, or if she meant for it to come up at that point. But it could be, like, again, if she was talking about how at the I Was Picked class, it kind of feels just out of order at the moment here. So it seems like I'm going to tell the story, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show a picture of it. So I was kind of wondering with what happened there, where the title of her talk came up and then it kind of flickered around. My guess is she meant to this was supposed to pop up a minute or so before, and it didn't. So this is also a good example of where slides can sometimes work against you, is the technology fails, the technology that doesn't cooperate. Now, it's important to remember that when things don't go right, and I'm not really sure if things did or didn't go right, I'm assuming that they did not, that in this case, the audience takes their cues from the speaker. So if Amy says all of a sudden, oh, well, okay, now the slides are working, okay, great. Well, this is actually, when I was talking about this earlier, this was supposed to pop up, and yeah, okay, so this is, okay, if she makes a big deal out of it, then all of a sudden it feels like a big deal to the audience. But if she makes it like it's no big deal, she rolls with it, then it's no big deal to the audience. So remember that the audience takes their cues from you, especially when something goes wrong.
So I burned this video onto a DVD and I took it to the rehearsal dinner and I asked for some airtime. And they said, why is the Last Bridesmaid asking us for airtime? What does that even mean? Well, they found a tube television that had a DVD player and they wheeled it into this rehearsal dinner and they put it in front of everybody. We popped the DVD in and pressed play. And that was the moment that changed the rest of my life. Now, naturally, videos playing, faces that Stephanie knows popping up. Oh my God, I haven't seen them in so long. And she's emotional, she's crying. Can't believe this is happening right now. As she should, I worked very hard on this thing, okay? It took a long time. But that wasn't the thing. This video is playing and I'm locked with Stephanie. I'm looking at Stephanie. But then I start looking around at the rest of the room. People she went to college with. The husband-to-be, his family. They're emotional too. And I was thinking, that's odd. They don't know who this is. You know, they're not from where we're from. They don't know this neighborhood. They don't get it. They don't understand this situation. This is just for Stephanie. But I thought, how interesting that you can make something for one very specific individual and affect the many.
Good. Very good. Very good example.
And I think that is what is so amazing, not just about video, but about content in general, that if we really get focused on the individual, that we can affect more than just the one. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. And yes, so I have a YouTube channel. I'm sure that's just, making you so excited right now. Like, oh, this girl, she's going to tell us to try video. And somebody probably brought you here and said you should try it for your business. And they're telling you how fun it is and how you should just try it. Jump in. It's no big deal. You're going to love it. And then you're like, oh my God, that is the worst thing that could have ever happened. I don't ever want to do it again. Please make it stop.
Now, that was a good example there of a lot of people feel like, okay, I know that I want to use more humor, or Grant, how do I be more funny in my talks? I don't feel like I'm funny. And this is an example of where Amy didn't necessarily have to come up with a joke or a punchline or a story or a setup or delivery, anything like that. What she did was she showed a GIF in the background there. GIF or meme? I think it's a GIF, right? She shows a GIF in the background, and that's what creates the humor, right? Not her explanation of it, but her just having that in the background. That is what creates the humor. So she doesn't have to say anything. She just shows that, kind of does a voiceover with it of how what people are thinking about, and that is what creates the humor. So really good example of what she did there, of using technology to create humor.
Talk about YouTube without having a cat video. You're welcome. So that's all fine and good. That's fine. Let's talk business then. We're all business people in here, right? So I have a question. Hand in the air if you've shaken someone's hand today. Have you given anyone a handshake? Yeah, a lot of people, right? You go to an event, you meet people, you shake their hand. It's very frequently done. But what's really interesting about this is the handshake is so often engaged in, but it's not been studied very often and written about. But this is what intrigued the University of Illinois in 2012 to talk about the power of a handshake and help us understand it. What they found in their study is that a handshake preceding social interaction enhanced the positive impact of approach and diminished the negative impact of avoidance behavior on evaluation of social interaction. What does that mean? Essentially, get in there, do it. A handshake is the best first impression you can make with someone else in real life.
Now this is another example of wanting to be aware of the environment and technology and slides. So from this particular angle, I assume it says get in there boo, but it looks like since that part is cut off or just kind of almost blurred out from what I would assume would be the sun reflection there, it makes it hard to see. So this side of the audience may not even be able to see part of what's on the slide. So something to be aware of, that if you're going to use slides, that make sure that everyone can see them, that make sure that the environment works well for that. And this may be where you want to test things ahead of time. So if you know that you have some lighter slides or some darker slides or something that could be a little bit more difficult, it may look fine when you're just looking at it on your laptop, but you may have to check it in a certain environment to make sure that you can see it from different angles and from different sides. And it also kind of depends on the time of day. So it looks like this may be maybe a morning thing or a lunch thing where the sun may be coming up, versus if this is an evening thing, the sun's already down and it's dark, this is no longer an issue in the exact same room. So those are, again, a couple of those factors that you want to take into consideration.
Not only are you making a positive first impression by opening up to them with your body language, but you're simultaneously diminishing any negative impressions they might have of you, which also diminishes sort of that avoidance behavior of crossed arms or I want to get on my phone now, that kind of thing. Think of a time that you maybe didn't shake someone's hand. What was going on? Why did that happen? Why did you avoid it? Because when you think of that, I want to ask you, what if there was something equivalent in the digital world? And by not shaking someone's hand, by not opening up that opportunity, it is the biggest missed opportunity in the digital space, equivalent to that handshake.
Now she's doing a good job here of making the connection between something that is known, meaning everybody there understands the power of a handshake and the power of meeting someone else. So she's talking about, okay, this thing that you know, how does this translate? How do you do a digital or virtual handshake? What does that look like and why does that matter? Because we all understand the importance and the value of a physical handshake, an in-person handshake, but what does this look like and why does it matter in the virtual world? So she's doing a really good job here of taking, here's something that you guys already know and are familiar with and understand the value of, and how that translates to what we're going to be talking about today.
I believe that ignoring video is the avoided handshake of 2019 and beyond, quite frankly. When we are talking about social, when we are talking about content, when we are talking about anything here and otherwise, as it comes down to our strategy, customer service, marketing, sales, you name it, video is a big part of that conversation. Shake your head if you agree with that sentiment. Yeah, we can't avoid video at this point.
Good, simple little interaction there. So remember a couple minutes ago, she said, raise your hand if you've experienced this. And then she said, shake your hand or shake your head if you agree with this. So just a simple little thing there, whether it's raise your hand, shake your head, say something to your neighbor or call and response. those simple little things just keep an audience engaged, just little touch points. So think of it like a sitcom, right? Sitcoms have to change the scene like every 30 seconds or so. They have to have commercial breaks in there. So they do these little pattern interrupts just to keep people engaged, because the natural tendency for most people is, even if you're listening to an amazing speaker, like our attention span is just short, and so it drifts off. We start thinking about something else. We check our phone, so something else crosses our mind, we get distracted, but squirrel, whatever it may be. And so we need some of these pattern interrupts as a speaker that keeps the audience locked in with what we're talking about.
Unlike handshakes, content has been frequently studied and measured and written about. And in a recent study about engaging your audience with visual content, custom video actually beats out every other form of visual content. Not just live video, but GIFs or GIFs, depending on how you feel about saying it. Which is arguable, I agree. But very important. It is a huge missed opportunity if you are not doing it in your marketing strategy, your content strategy, your sales strategy across the board for your business. But really, why are we talking about handshakes and videos? You have to tap into that market. You have to leverage it. And one of our clients at Aftermark actually recognized this. SAP, if you're familiar with SAP, they are enterprise software, and they were having a really hard time tapping into their small business market and letting them know that they were there to support them. Why? Because when you think enterprise software...
I really like what she's doing here, where this is almost like a multi-sensory thing. She's talking about something, there's a video playing in the background. You got to be careful that if there's too much happening on the video in the background, people are locked in on the video and they can't hear what she's saying. They're not listening anymore. In this case, it seems like just kind of a casual type of video, so it's probably not going to be super distracting to what she's talking about, but really an enhancement to what she's talking about. So she's doing a good job here of, again, adding in a new layer of engaging the audience and connecting with the audience beyond just being a talking head on stage. So really good stuff here from Amy. All right, there you go. Hope you enjoyed that speech breakdown. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to like this video. Click that like button below. And as always, don't forget to comment below. Let us know what is one takeaway that you learned from this speech breakdown that you're going to apply to your next talk. Also, if there is a speech or presentation or a speaker that you would like for us to break down in an upcoming video, then make sure that you let us know in the comments below. All right? Thanks for hanging out with us, my friend. We'll catch you next time. You're awesome.